I don't often review tools that aren't designed for video production. Well, that's not exactly true. I've reviewed household alternatives to the pricey Aperture Accent B7C, so yeah, I guess there's that. Tools designed for production are really good at solving production problems, but non-quote production equipment is often less expensive and at times more versatile. One of the more interesting items I've started using is the Royole RoWrite 2. It's a smart notebook, but its most intriguing feature, cinematography-wise, is its ability to output animation of what you've scribbled with a couple of clicks. This can be custom animated text, icons, drawings, graphs, or wherever your imagination takes you. Yes, you can do similar things in your editor, but it's simpler and less time-consuming with the RoWrite. For years, and I mean decades, I've wanted a device that could record my written notes in digital form, giving me a copy that's searchable and easy to save long-term. There were tablet PCs, but they tend to be futzy in meetings, and you have to put up with the pen-on-glass feel. Then paper-based smart notebooks like Rocketbook, but you have to use a special pen on special paper, which is kind of a drag, and the writing experience is still weird because the pages are glossy and the ink is kind of fat, and then the process of saving notes is futzy. You have to use your phone to scan the code in the page and then tell it where to save the page in OneNote or someplace, and then you have to erase the page with a damp cloth because you can't leave the notes on the page for too long or they begin to stain, and then you have to organize your OneNote uploads, and that just ends up being a lot of work. The RoWrite 2 differs from most smart notebooks in that you use a real pen on a regular piece of paper, any piece of paper, creating a digital and a physical copy simultaneously. Now, I'm not going to do a review of the RoWrite as a smart notebook. This is more about the animation feature, but you can watch a great review on the note-taking features by My Deep Guide. I put a link to it down below. But here are a few of the basics. It's a smart note binder with a combination digital ink pen. The pen is both a stylus and an ink cartridge. The notebook can use any pad, scratch paper, or even a napkin. The digitizer is in the spine and the back cover, and it tracks where you're drawing with the digitized pen, communicating with your phone or computer. It also has storage in the spine, which allows you to take notes while not connected to a device. You don't have to futz with any software in a meeting. It stores the notes in its memory, and then you can sync it later with your phone. The notebook, pen, and packaging are elegant and impressive. It looks like it belongs in a Fortune 500 boardroom. The pen cap doesn't fit on the end, which is the natural instinct, but it does attach magnetically to the notebook for safekeeping, as does the pen itself. While attached, the notebook charges the pen, which has a battery life of 10 hours. The notebook is said to last 30 days between charges, but that is without use. I'd expect something closer to 12 hours in use, similar to the pen. It comes with 6 ink refills, so it'll be a couple of years before you need to replenish anything. And best of all, the notebook just feels great. It's not fragile, more like a paper pad than a piece of tech. Overall, the physical component of the writing experience is 9 out of 10. The device is streamlined for one function, creating a digital copy of your notebook. It's not a reader, and the editing capabilities are fairly limited. You can choose your paper type, lined, blank, or whatever this is called. You can change the paper color, which is important when using it as an animator. You can change the writing tool from pen to pencil to brush to eraser. You can change the color, of course, and you can erase what you've done in your digital notes. Obviously, your paper copy is in real ink, so no erasures there. You can import a picture and write over it as well. And you can transcribe your handwritten notes into text. All in all, not bad for a note-taking device and sketchpad. Now, as an animator, essentially, RoWrite records everything you write and will play it back as an MP4 file. This makes animating text, icons, graphs, and everything else just super easy. You draw, export, then drag and drop into your editor. What sets these animations apart from other simple solutions is that it follows the pen in real time, not in a direction such as top to bottom like a lot of whiteboard animation. This subtle difference means it really looks like text being written. And for better or worse, the text and the drawings all have the quirks of your penmanship. What you create is one of a kind. Now, I am terrible at drawing, and it can still add a quirky professional touch to my videos. If you're good at drawing, well, I think a lot is possible. Now, the notebook wasn't designed to be a video animation tool, so there are some drawbacks. First, it records at 15 frames per second. This is not an unusual frame rate for 2D animation, so I don't find it to be a problem. I mean, it looks smooth enough. You just can't slow it down in post. Second, it starts with about 4 frames of the completed image or word before beginning from a blank page. This requires you to trim every single clip, which is a small nuisance. A slightly bigger nuisance is that it jumps on that first stroke just a little bit. It's like it misses the first frame when it starts recording. I compensate for this by making first a little mark up in the corner to start the recording process, and then I start my drawing. And finally, you're going to use a blend mode like lighten to overlay your text in post, so you need to consider what your background is. RoWrite produces a dark gray page instead of black, so you need to pump up the contrast in post, which is yet another step. Now that starts to sound like a lot of futzing to make it work, but really once you get the workflow in your head, it just takes a few seconds. Draw, click, drag, trim, resize, contrast, you're done. Compare that to how long it takes to create a similar effect in Fusion or After Effects, and what devices you'll need in order to write or draw smoothly in those programs. Hey, if you're finding this interesting or helpful, check out my other reviews and subscribe. There's more to come. The RoWrite as a note-taking tool is a little more complicated, so I encourage you to do some research. Almost every reviewer is coming at this device as a note-taking tool, so they'll give you a good sense of the RoWrite from that standpoint. My brief experience is this. Its strengths: pixel-perfect digital copies, which is great if you like to draw. Authentic pen-on-paper feel, because, it's pen on paper. The handwriting transcription does an excellent job. My chicken scratches are wildly deformed, and it can translate them 95% of the time, even when I'm not trying to be neat. Once transcribed, you can search within your notes. You can save to OneNote or any other app that is on your phone, and you can export to a PDF or PNG or even a JPEG file too. Its weaknesses? Well, the cover doesn't fold all the way over, so it's awkward to write in your lap. The app is limited, which means digitally you can't go very far beyond basic note-taking and basic drawing. The transcription is page by page, so you can't do a notebook at a time, and you can only export multiple pages to PDFs in the desktop version. And one of the more frustrating things for me is that it orders your pages with the last page you wrote first. So when you open a notebook, it's in reverse chronological order. Now, you can reorder the presentation in the desktop version, but not in the phone app, which is irritating. The folks at Royole have been fairly thoughtful in their app design, but I don't know how interested they are in expanding its basic note capability, which is a real shame because the hardware really stands out on this unit. It would be great if you could translate and export entire notebooks at once, grab portions of text and move them around on the page, make checklists in the app, and add timers and other work productivity tools. If Royole borrowed more from tablet note-taking software in their app design, this notebook would be a real powerhouse. It would dominate the market. As it stands now, do I recommend it? Well, for note-taking alone, no. Maybe. If you're interested in both the animation and note-taking functions, then I'd say yes, though that depends a bit on whether you take notes by hand anymore. The pandemic has forced most of my meetings onto Zoom, which means the keyboard is right under my fingertips, and I'm not using this as often as I thought I would for notes. If you're interested in just the animation feature, I don't know. That's a hard one. I bought mine for $99, and I'd probably do it again, but the price often climbs over $100, and then it's hard to describe just how unique or quirky the RoWrite animations are, and therefore it's hard to describe their strengths and limitations, and by extension, their worth. It is, in many respects, a whiteboard app. Only because it's a real whiteboard, it behaves with more nuance and flexibility than any software-only whiteboard. And you can import a screen grab of the background you want to draw on for perfect placement of your sketch, functioning like an onion skin, or hand draw a JPEG by JPEG animation. So you have a device with a lot more creativity than my examples here. At the same time, I found that it was easy to run into obstacles and blockades while using the app whenever I tried to go beyond its limitations. Though to be fair, the app is as feature-rich as, say, Notability or Squid. The Windows version of the app often had difficulty connecting my notebook to my computer, and you're reliant on Royole's servers to connect your devices and perform certain functions, which isn't really different than OneNote or Evernote or any cloud-based app. But all of this quirky uniqueness leaves me feeling slightly adrift.